Meeting, welcome everybody. Call for apologies. We've got any apologies?
Didn't we have one from Nikki, I think?
Sorry, there is one from Nikki Mearns. So, I'll move to accept Nikki's apology, seconded by Councillor Bryan. All in favour? Aye. Right, thank you. So, conflicts of interest. Have we got any conflicts of interest? No conflicts of interest. We'll move on to confirmation of minutes from the 16th of April. I presume everybody's read it. Somebody moved Councillor Redmond, Councillor Ward seconded. Put that, all in favour? Aye. Carried. Matters arising from minutes. No matters arising. Deputation presentation, we've got nil. So we've got number 5.1 reports from Sophie Allen, please. And what I'd like to do before we actually start talking about it is just go into a quick workshop, and I'll explain after in the workshop why we want to go into a bit of a workshop to discuss this. So we just move into workshop now. Thank you.
specific projects that we decision for today, and it's something we come for just before every commencement of every financial year, just to seek that approval. It was to report back on how progress has been this current financial year. So we have some projects that are projects that we're taking over for quite a few years. So that's the Kaiapoi terrestrial, so riparian margin planting, and the towns and fields southward planting, for example. We also have some new projects which are sort of one-off, like the Waimakariri Pond project, which is has been requested by the wind sector and community water support this year. And lastly, what's probably of interest is what happened with the Waimakariri Zone Committee Action Fund this year. Is that for the first time they had quite a few high calibre applicants that they were not able to fully fund. And so that's why I proposed for a top up of these projects to be able to have them carried out successfully as scoped. So that's probably a key item to note for discussion. And have any questions.
Any questions? Questions, Councillor Corton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to ask sort of what additional benefit the zipper funding may actually accrue to, for instance, to the Lees Road site, the Hunter Streams, those areas have already received Action Fund funding.
So I mentioned that they were not able to be fully funded, so if you can imagine if you've scoped up fencing but not able to carry out the planting, or if you've got some really weed control but not fully funded really weed control, what you can actually get is the project is not able to get to the stage where it's to really get those willows and other species under control. For, it really does help to make the project as scoped, because like I said, you have the fencing in place but not the plants established. Or you sort of need to have one to have the other, and so that's why I'm proposing to fully scope to fully fund those projects.
Yeah, just secondary supplementary. I know it's just in a slightly different context, but there was there's one there, was the Hunter Stream. And I know through the sort of zone committee, they'd had some hits and misses with plantings, but they actually do need some extra expertise, bit of help there, don't they?
So I did seek reassurance that the project is with the private landowners, but also has been proposed by Waimakariri Biodiversity Trust, and they support for that project. They confirmed they would help to organise planting days and for maintenance follow-up. So that's where there was a concern that the private landowner had a back injury, and would she be able to carry out maintenance, or to make sure that others can carry out maintenance. And they said that she's very well connected with the community. She's got a lot of people involved, who are keen to be involved in that project, connected with the local school. And so with the support from the Waimakariri Biodiversity Trust and reassurance that she had enough connections, I supported the full funding of that project. So that's why there was a concern raised, and I made sure I addressed it.
Question, Councillor Redmond?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sophie, I take it from the report that we're really just adopting the zipper addendum recommendation, and there is an existing budget, so this is really seeking our confirmation of their recommendation. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, and you might recall this was a discussion we had last year as well. That we had similar recommendations. They haven't changed, and the existing budget hasn't changed. It's purely really good to check out on how we're progressing, keep the council committee informed of how projects are progressing, and to present what's proposed for next year.
And following up from that, there's no impact on the draft LTP, like what we're dealing with now. Right, thank you.
Councillor Brian?
Thank you. I'm going to ask a very unfair question. While I note that a lot of these actually don't have, it's not planting, it's other things, the suggestion was made when we broke into workshop that there would be some value to council to delay any native plantings while we investigate the die-off of native plantings. Here's the typical. Do you see absolutely any value in that suggestion, or is it we're always going to lose some?
I think recognising when we have experimental plantings, we're actually creating, we're as a body of science to know how to establish planting, for example, on plains, which is, obviously, planting in the right situation, we did, So where it's experimental, I think we need to accept we're going to have some losses, and that's what happened with silver stream. But in fairness, if we know that the plantings very much, there's no key risk factor, I wouldn't ask for a halt in plantings. I would ask for a review or a report about how we're going to get some stats. But I wouldn't halt planting as a broad spectrum. I would say maybe to flag any risk about any planting. So for example, with we went to treat the plant and the site is very dry. Just flag that to the committee that there's a risk with this planting.
I'll just add a little bit to that. It could be counterproductive if you were to hold this with any of these budgets where staff are looking to get an early signal so that as they go into the financial year they have confidence that this has been allocated. And that means the people who are doing the planting have got time to make sure they get the plants prepared. And they're the experts, they're best to know when to do the planting. If we delay it, we're just shortening that window. I think it could actually be counterproductive. These projects, Sophie's got quite a good handle on, and on a number of these we've actually had quite successful planting in previous years in the similar or nearby areas.
No more questions, just one for myself then. So just to confirm, there will be a maintenance program and you have got a maintenance budget to check on these plantings and they will be looked after later on. So that's confirming that will
That's confirmed. It's not detailed in the report, so it's good to confirm that there's an OPEX budget, which is exactly equal to this. Yeah. And we've had follow-up for 5 years. We've had longer follow-up in the 2-year period. That's the minimum recommended. Basically, all of these areas we go through weed management as well. And that's the great service from the green space rangers, because they're not just told to go to a planting and maintain that planting. They keep an eye out to go, oh, actually, there's regrowth of willow over there we need to get on top of. And so they have a wider picture about what's happening in that area.
That's great, thank you.
Question?
Question, Councillor Ridley?
Sorry, Sophie, I did have another question. The proposed plantings, one of them is the Poio wetland, North Kaiapoi and the Lees Road, Barkers Road area. Those plantings won't be affected by the proposed woody bypass, which must go somewhere in that vicinity.
So I also did check this with the landowners. I asked where's the bypass going. They said it's a couple hundred metres over that way, so they didn't know, and they confirmed it wasn't affected. Okay, so I believe a little bit further towards the west where the gravel pits. It's the very pillars of the gravel pits, so not the next to the east to those gravel pits.
Right, so we've got a move on this motion. Councillor Bryan, and seconded by Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's not a lot that I can add. It's a very good staff report, and the comments attached to the staff report have been very well made, and I can't improve on it. Mr. Cleary also made some very good comments with regard to the consequences of delaying part of or the whole. So I can't add much more, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Ward.
Thank you. I will concur with that, and really we need to make sure that you can actually do your job in a timely way, in a timely fashion. So we respect your professionalism in the work that you do. Thank you.
Mayor Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Likewise, I support the direction as suggested. These are undertakings that we've had for some time around our commitment to the zone implementation plan. There was a lot of discussion which led to the development of the document, and I wouldn't want to personally unwind all that work that there's been a lot of effort. I appreciate that when it comes to the current climate we're in, we've got to look at our expenditure and be careful with how that's expended, but these are commitments that we've made, and this is something that I really do think we need to continue with for the reasons, Sophie, that you've outlined. In reference to Mr. Chair referring to Gillian Giller and Miles, I did ask that question through because I was just surprised with the passion that they have in that space that I hadn't seen any submission from them. I had Gillian contacted me after and we had quite a conversation, and it's fair that she is concerned that in undertaking the plantings that there's adequate maintenance. So I think that question is valid there, and Sophia, it would be appreciated if perhaps to reach out with Gillian and Miles, given their passion and interest in this area, and just make sure that there's some reassurance around the plan that we've got and the adequacy of our maintenance, because as Gillian said, we're struggling to maintain some of the plantings that they've already got, and they've done extensive plantings themselves over the years. That's something they're very passionate about. But I trust the work that you're doing and appreciate the passion and expertise that you bring in this space. So I fully support the budget and we need to get on with it.
Thank you. Councillor Redmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be supporting the recommendation too. I note we're implementing a zipper recommendation with an existing budget, which has no impact on the LTP, and I was reassured that in 2B6 the wood-end bypass will not impact on those plantings, which was something I wondered when I saw the map and the diagram in the general area. So I'm reassured that that won't be the case, so happy to support the recommendation.
Right, and I also will be supporting the recommendation. I was concerned about what was said at the long-term plan about maintenance and all that, and I'm reassured that the council will be undertaking a good maintenance program and making sure we're not unnecessarily spending money on plants and then finding out a lot's in the blind and we're not looking after them. So I am reassured by Sophie on that system, so I will be supporting that. So I'll put that motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Now we'll move on to 5.2, which is Kelly and Caroline, unused water take consents. Thank you.
Good morning. The purpose of this report is to seek approval from you and our committee to surrender 4 existing unused water take consents, 2 of which are associated with drinking water and the other 2 are associated with irrigation and construction irrigation activities. Staff recommends the consents to be surrendered. So there are 3 options that we looked at. One is to do nothing, and that will put council at risk of enforcement and non-compliance actions from ECAN, because there is a requirement to ensure that all active water take consents or water take sources are being metered. The other option that we have is to meter these water take sources. However, because they are currently inactive and there is no plan for future use, there is a big financial implication to that. And the last recommendation is to surrender those consents based on consideration for cost, metering requirements, and also the process and the unlikely situation that we might be requiring these consents in the future. Happy to take questions.
Questions? You've got no? Councillor Redmond?
Thank you, Caroline. I take it from the report that there is, once these consents are surrendered, the likelihood of getting a new consent is not Brilliant. Would that be a fair summation?
So these water take consents are associated with a particular activity at a particular area. So if, and it depends on the groundwater allocation that's available. But priority is always given to community drinking water supplies. And so that has been signaled in the regional plan changes. So yes, once we surrender these consents, we won't be able to use them. But for the purposes of drinking water supply, it is it will still be prioritized, even in our allocated groundwater zones.
Thank you.
Just a question, Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The Summer Hill supply in particular, I understand that is that now catered for the pipe work that runs from the effectively West Road, waimakariri, so there's an allocation that allows for population growth and all along that area into Summer Hill. We basically don't need it, that's still rejected.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
The water comes from West Hill.
Yeah, and is there any possibility that these for contingency, are there any private water tax going the other way from the Ashley or anything? No one actually, it's private water supply. I just imagine it's one of those areas perhaps.
No, there's not. And one of the challenges that we have is even if there was a supply in the area, it's actually quite challenging to transfer those rights. So effectively, if we're not actively using our consents, we're more or less in a position where we need to surrender them.
No more questions? Well, I'll move we do those recommendations. We've got a second, Councillor Redmond. Thank you for a really good report. I think it's all self-explanatory, so thank you. Councillor Redmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I read the report with interest because I always hate giving something up that we might need. Some might call me a hoarder. I wouldn't agree with that, but my wife might. We never do. So anyhow, I don't like giving things up, which we might need in the future. It's like throwing something out at home and then you suddenly decide you want it. But it's quite clear we're not using these consents. It is costly, or going to be costly to maintain them, and I accept it's very expensive to transfer them should that become a possibility. And I was reassured by your comment that drinking water would be prioritised in the future should we need a consent for that purpose. So I think there is no risk to surrendering these consents, and on that basis happy to support it.
No more speakers? I'll put that all in favour.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. So we'll move on to 5.3, which is Kelly again and Joanne. Joanne's not here, so it must be just oh, Joanne's on the side. I didn't see something over there.
Not a window.
So we got Kelly and Joanne. Joanne wants to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the purpose of this report is to give you a regular update on the July 23 flood recovery work. In terms of investigations, we're effectively 97% complete through those. All of them have been, the investigation works have been completed to an extent they've been approved or they're submitted for internal review. All of our maintenance actions have been progressed to a point that they're now either complete or with the contractor. Just in terms of a few of the key focus areas, the work doing the maintenance on the Cam River, so that is still ongoing. In the report under 1.5, it talks about the work being completed by the end of May. that's now mid-June. So they're working on the section just above the confluence with the South Brook, but there's actually more work that they're needing to do with regards to vegetation removal than they expected. In terms of Tuahiwi, the contractor is about to start on site next week with the culvert upgrades on the Greens Road diversion. So that's near Greens Road into Papatuki Road on Tuahiwi Stream. So that work, we're currently saying in the report end of July, but given that they'll be starting on site next week, it may be sooner than that. In terms of financials, so the total budget that was approved was 4.055 million. We've currently spent about 2.5 million, so about 60% complete. There will be works that will be ongoing into next financial year, and that predominantly relates to the immediate works. So there's been a number of projects that we haven't progressed as quickly as we would have liked to with regards to the design and getting landowner approval where it's work on private property. Just lining up, even the Greens Road work is a good example where we're putting in some box culverts and there was a lead time to get those fabricated ready for installation. Just the other thing to note under recommendation D, that the flood team is effectively in the process of being wrapped up. A lot of the consultants that we had for a number of days a week sitting in our office are no longer there, and we're effectively going to be transitioning from the flood team to the infrastructure resilience team, which was approved as part of the long-term plan deliberations, and they will pick up the remaining improvement works that need to be implemented, as well as progressing the future works that have been identified. So happy to take any questions.
Questions, Councillor Fulton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you tell me how many, what the number of consultants that are effectively being replaced by the infrastructure resilience team members, permanent staffers in this new budget year? What's the handover and, in terms of capacity?
So there is actually 6 different individuals that we had working as part of the flood team. Some of those were only working for 2 days a week. Some of them were for more. So I haven't actually worked it out in terms of FTE equivalent, but when we actually went through and analysed or justified establishing the infrastructure resilience team, we actually worked out that for having effectively a team working about 60% of the time using consultants, we could actually employ a team full-time in-house.
Okay.
So yeah, effectively with this time last month, we would have had about 6 individuals, consultants working on this work, ranging amount of times. We're now down to 2.
Yeah. So does that mean it's cost neutral, effectively? And that example of a handover between consultants and staff?
Yes, we will probably even be spending less money on the infrastructure resilience team than what we have on consultants over the last 12 months.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Councillor Redmond?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kelly, a question you might have expected that I would ask. On page 120 in Diligent, H16, the Combs Road, Forsyths Road matter, it shows that the physical works have all been completed 100%. Does that include the work on the weir, which would be redirecting the primary flow to the Ashley River? Has that work been done?
Just a bit of context in terms of that table on page 120. The 100% refers to the investigation work. So once we've got to 100% with the investigation, that's fully complete and approved. And the outcome of that was to program physical works for the 23-24 financial year. So as you're well aware, those works are underway at the moment and are expected to be completed by the end of June this year, and that includes modifying the weir as well.
All right, thank you. The residents will be happy.
Thank you. And question for me on the budget side of it. Are you likely to complete all these tasks in the estimated budget? Because it's only estimated at this stage, or are we going to have a week of pocket change left over, or how are we going on that budget?
We're still on track to complete all of the works within the overall budget. There's still a reasonable portion of that budget unspent at the moment, so I don't think we're in a position to have any confidence that we're going to be significantly under budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're going to what?
Just a question for me. Sorry. I just know that the Cam River works, the two of you, I think you described it. We had a submission, I recall, from John Cook, came along and spoke. So will John and others neighbours, they'll be advised as sort of stakeholders that progress is works, we presume that this is along this frontage, is it?
Yes, so the work for John Cook on 250 Rebels Road, that is integrated with the work that Environment Canterbury are doing. So we will make sure that there's a number of different aspects that ECAM are looking at improving, as well as works we're looking at improving on the land side of the stop bank. So we'll make sure John Cook is updated regarding that.
I just asked because I think this is our committee member, that's not pertinent here, but he sort of saw that there seemed to be a lack of progress as far as he was concerned. So we'll make it clear to him what's happening.
No more questions? I'll move we accept this report and notes in it. I've got a second Councillor Bryan. So I'd just like to say thank you for this report. It's good to see that a lot of these projects are getting to the completed stage of organisation, and we've got contractors on the ground getting some of this work done. So thank you for that. Councillor Bryan, I think. Mayor Gordon?
So thank you for this report, and it's really important work we're doing here in this space. I know how badly it is by the community. We did go out to a site visit at the invitation of the residents out in the Okuku area, and they showed the level of work that they've put in to mitigate their own property from risk, including spending considerable money on bunding. I hadn't appreciated until being there just the level of money and effort with the cleanup of that event. Substantial, over $27,000 for them's uninsured and no recovery, and including doing a grid that they did going over the land. So that's the level of challenge we have with those events that come about. So the more that we can to be resilient, and I know that word's used a lot, what it means to me is being prepared and making sure that we've got adequate capacity is important. I was in a meeting last week, and I did hear that there's encouraging signs that the work that Environment Canterbury and other regional councils have done, which is the work before the deluge, which was a co-investment model. It's encouraging to hear that they believe that that's likely to receive some funding from government. So we'll wait to see the detail and see the announcement. But if that happens, that is significant, and I'm hoping that our district will be the beneficiary of that additional works that will obviously lift stock banks and look at that broader protection. It's something that we've supported. Basil Chamberlain was brought in by ECAN post that event, and we were invited into some of those conversations. Basil was a recognised expert and had done a lot of work in other areas that he was residing in, I think he was previously Chief Executive of the Council up there, and they had secured a co-investment model with the Crown up there for their work. So all that work that's going in, plus our own, I'm hoping should reassure our community that we're on top of this and are doing the best that we can to make sure that our district is protected in these times of challenge that come to us. And just acknowledge, Chair, your leadership with the team on this. I know that's a recommendation you brought through to us, and we appreciate that level of work that's going in to ensure, when we're sitting in those events, that we are in the best position we can be. So thank you, team.
No more. Councillor Ward?
I would just like to say that choosing to get a resilience team in place when we spend so much money on consultants is a very good call, which will give us surety and give us continuity and give us readiness in case of these events, more readiness and more hands to the wheel, we should say, and when we experience more of these rain events that we're likely to receive. And so I say well done, and the long-term plan, having this team implemented is really what we're all about, is about making sure that as councillors we look to the future and make sure we protect our people. So thank you for your work, and I know that will come in as a cost-saving measure as well. Well done.
Right, so I'll put that all in favour. Against? Carried. Thank you. So now we move on to report 5.4, and we've got Jason and Verena. I hope I've pronounced that right, have I?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it, thank you.
Thank you, Councillors. Thank you, Mayor. Kia ora koutou. My name is Verena, and I work in Three Waters as a Three Waters Compliance Officer. This report is for information only. It summarizes the findings of two reports, which are a requirement for our Rangiora Global Stormwater Discharge Consent, CRC 184601. So first, I'd like to clarify how these two reports fit together. The annual report is a requirement from the conditions of consent and includes the monitoring report. The monitoring report summarizes information about water quality in Rangiora waterways, and because of the nature of this report, it's kept separately from the annual report. However, it is presented as an appendix of the annual report. Having made that clarification, second, some of this information is not entirely new. The monitoring program water quality results from 2021-2022 were presented to this committee last year. So these two reports are the Rangiora Annual Stormwater Report 2021-2023 and the monitoring program water quality results for 2022-2023. Third, these are the highlights. For the first time, we're starting to have an understanding of where the problems are and what we need to do about it. And this is going to inform our actions moving forward for the years to come about where to spend our energy and resources. So it's great that we're starting to see some trends. We have been undertaking this monitoring sampling since 2021 for a total of 40 sampling sites throughout Rangiora in stormwater discharges into the receiving environment. That includes a combination of wet weather sampling and dry weather sampling. The wet weather sampling includes visual discharges and taking water samples for total suspended solids and oil contaminants onto the receiving environment. There has been a total of 22 lab analyses carried out to date as part of this consent. So there's some compliant results and non-compliant results. Compliant results include total suspended solids for wet weather sampling, and dissolved oxygen, temperature, pH, total molecule nitrogen, total suspended solids, and dissolved reactive phosphorus during dry weather. The non-compliant results are exceedances in the guidance set by ECAN and include for wet weather dissolved copper and zinc in some regular waterways, dissolved reactive phosphorus and E. coli, and for dry weather dissolved inorganic nitrogen in the Northbrook, Southbrook, and number 7 drain, and E. coli in the Middlebrook. These results are not fully new, as they're very similar to what was presented last year. What's new though is that now we're starting to see some trends. So using data from baseline sampling from 2014 to 2017, this data was compared to our monitoring data from 2021 and 2023. And most of the results showed no statistical significant increased trends for contaminants. There was only one statistical significant increase trend shown for dissolved zinc in the Northbrook. Further sampling for the next financial year and will further inform where these trends are going. Follow-up investigations are recommended as a result of these reports, and the results from this report are also informing the drafting of the stormwater management plan to be implemented by 2025 and to address exceedances by 2040. I'm ready to take your questions.
Questions? Got any questions? Councillor Redmond?
Thank you and welcome to our meeting. Couple of questions. The first one on page 27 of your report, which is in our diligent at page 154.
Is this the annual report for the monitoring program?
Annual report.
Yep. It may be a question actually that Joanne or Jared may be able to answer. It shows that Cord has been non-compliant for the last 2 years, and I wondered what is being done to address this and what are the consequences for the contractor of non-compliance. So that's diligent page 154.
So
Item 10.4.
yes, I've got a table 8.
Not sure I don't see table 8.
Yeah, to answer your question, there was a time during COVID that resources were constrained for Cord, but those were addressed after. And as I explained later in the annual report, full compliance with delivering the sample cleaning works was finalised after this report was submitted to Environment Canterbury. So the works pending from 2022-2023 were delivered in April 2024. In actions undertaken, I have been engaging with the voting team quite a lot, and they are undertaking audits of the work that Cord do, and everybody is well aware of the past performances. But even though I had to report this as non-compliant in my report because the works weren't physically finished, I had no physical proof that they were finished by the time I had to submit the report. They were completed in April, and I saw the physical evidence that was done, and this is also taken as a learning towards the next contract.
Right, a supplementary question. How is the current financial year going? We've got a month to go. Are we looking at achieving compliance in relation to 10.4?
Yeah, so that is a bit, the challenge we're experiencing at the moment is the contract with Cord was written in 2019 and our consent came into effect in 2021, so there is a gap, and then the contract year for delivering those frequencies of maintenance work doesn't line up with our financial year timeframes. So we are working with the voting team in Cord to deliver these works. They seem happy with the timeframes that we have proposed. This financial year finishes 1st of July. I'll start working on the new annual report, and I expect that this is going to take me 3 months to put together again, so that will leave some time for court to finish those works before I submit the next report. So we're hoping that we can meet that requirement for this financial year.
Fine. And just to explain to me, how are these works audited? Do you physically go around and inspect, or how do you check out?
I don't know if Joanne maybe wants to add a little bit on that, but there is a dedicated person in the team that audits the works live. They have a live reporting tool, but I might pass this on to you, Joanne, for the
Thank you. Yes, we have staff who are out doing audits. Oh, thank you. And they are all captured in RAM, which is our road asset management database. We have done a significant amount of work and put a lot of focus on those audits to make sure that we are getting out there and doing them and that they are compliant.
Thank you.
Right, so Councillor Eden.
Sorry, I've got another question too. On page 43 of your report, diligent page 170, if I can just find it here. It's for pond C. It says, due to time constraints and results not being a consent requirement, trends have not been analysed for the stream health results. Is that work that is going to be done in the future?
Yes, I would like to, ideally, I would like to have trends for everything, but because I was focused on delivering the information that we will do to report on, I only focus on the essentials. So stream health, as much as we love it because it tells us the exact what's exactly happening with waterways from an ecological perspective, I did not have capacity to address this, but I can certainly incorporate it for this financial year.
Thank you.
Right, so no more questions. Mayor Gordon.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. Just further to that, which the question from Councillor Redmond, would that stream health, how would that be undertaken? And look, there is a particular stream I get regular feedback about, it's around the Hoka stream. Is that one that would be included in that monitoring work? Because there's a resident down there that has very strong views in that area.
We've done some water sampling in the Ahoka stream that Sophie has done, and she reported to that drainage advisory group for Ahoka. I believe the feedback we received from that is that we were going to do some more modeling of that stream and just to understand more where some of the exceedances are coming from. So that was the feedback we received from that drainage advisory group meeting, and we will implement that water sampling.
Just perhaps a little bit more clarification. So, this report you're receiving is to do with the Rangura urban discharge. So, predominantly has the 3 brooks which feed into the Ken River. The Ahoka stream is more of an urban, rural stream, but as Jason said, we've been doing some separate monitoring there in consultation with the advisory group. Just in terms of that's a good question about stream health. I think we've now actually got ourselves to a point where we've got quite a number of years of water quality monitoring, and Lorena and Sophie are able to start to see trends, not only just over that time, but in which areas we're seeing issues with water quality, and no surprise to see the likes of zinc and copper from an urban catchment. But we're actually taking it a step further. We can actually start to target detailed investigations into areas where we're seeing things, and also what are our maintenance activities and what are the things that we're doing in the catchment. So we've moved beyond just monitoring for compliance and for information, we're actually starting to use that. This report hopefully gives the committee quite a bit of assurance that we're actually getting good value out of the analysis we're doing and employing people like Lorraine and Sophie to actually start doing this. And this is part of we have to have consents to run our stormwater networks, and it's essential that we do this. So it's not just about compliance, it's actually genuinely improving the water quality in our waterways.
Thank you, Councillor Fulton.
Thank you. David Worksworth, so thank you. I'm interested in the flow paths from particularly around your urban, talked about going into the camp. Well, Council has major investment to the southeast there, Lineside Road, etc. We had a lot of discussion about where the water comes from, where it flows to. It's going into the camp. Does that have an effect on Lineside Road and water capture? Do we do that sort of work? You know, where's the water originally originating from when we have storms and floods, etc.? Is it coming from Rangiora?
So is your question about
Yeah.
the flow path water?
Yeah, the question about the type of work we're doing to determine where the water ultimately sort of comes from. Are we dealing with stormwater runoff from the other side of Rangiora, which flows down into the camp and conceivably into Lineside Road, Wills Road?
Right.
Do we have someone? Yeah.
As part of our stormwater management plan that we're putting together for January 2025 for Rangiora, we are looking at prioritizing catchments within Rangiora, and based off of that prioritization is based off of contaminant load modeling as well as real water sampling data, and the contaminant load modeling takes into account the land use, so industrial, residential, commercial, and so those catchments are prioritized based off of the land use and where we see we don't have treatment and where we expect a high amount of contaminants getting into our waterways. So we do look at it from a catchment standpoint of where the water is coming from before it discharges into the waterways within Rangiora.
Just in general, it's really complex. So Rangiora, for example, we've got the North Brook, Middle Brook and South Brook. So predominantly the North Brook and Middle Brook emerge in the town of Rangiora. The South Brook runs through the southern part of Rangiora, so there's quite an urban influence from the surface water on the North Brook and Middle Brook. But even those, the spring water itself is dependent on upstream rural activity, and particularly the northern part of Rangiora, so the North Brook and the Cold Stream, they're actually significantly influenced by the Ashley River, which it recharges that aquifer, and the South Brook much more by rural activity upstream. So we've got a pretty good handle on that, but all of this monitoring helps us inform what's the water quality coming in, how much is it being impacted in the urban area, and what does it go as it leaves the town as well.
So just for go to the, we have to be mindful on that basis when the town grows to the north and the west of where the water is running from too, just like it is from Rangiora itself.
Yes, and definitely, and you'll notice that in the north and west of Rangiora, all of the urban subdivisions, they actually go through treatment ponds and dispose of their primary water into soakage. And you referenced flooding. So when we're in flood, we would have a different situation too, where we, in the very large floods, we get rural water flowing basically through the town of Rangiora and around it. So yeah, it is extremely complex, but we definitely take that into account with both the design and the management of stormwater systems.
Okay, so no more questions. We're going to move to the report. Moved Councillor Redmond, seconded by Gordon. Councillor Redmond.
Thank you. A very comprehensive report. I can't recall seeing one of these previously. I appreciate this report deals with urban Rangiora, but it does give us a snapshot of what is probably happening elsewhere in the district. It is reassuring to see that historical data, we're now building up data so we can actually follow any trends in the future. So I think that's worthwhile. I also noted with interest the copper and zinc, and I see there were some naturally occurring minerals, if we call them minerals, and I'm assuming that the copper and zinc is coming from brake pads quite often, and as a keen motorist, we're not allowed to have asbestos brake pads anymore, which were very effective, and I never saw any reference to asbestos here. So it looks as though removing asbestos brake pads has solved that problem, but created possibly another one with copper and zinc, which were the substitutes. And I accept the comment that one of my colleagues, I think, made, that this is ultimately going to lead to an improved quality of waterways. And I'm reassured that the areas of non-compliance are going to be addressed. What we can do about copper and zinc, I'm not too sure, because cars do need brake pads. But anyhow, it's a very comprehensive report, and I've learned a lot from reading it, so thank you.
Thank you. I support the report, and it's very nice to meet you, Lorena, and to see the quality of work that you're preparing along with Jason and our team. But I did see an opportunity to ask a broader question from information you have there, and I appreciate Jared's further clarification. I think stream health, water health, and water quality are matters that are very important to our communities. And I think looking at, and probably something for staff to think about, is how we do report on those. I don't want to set you an unreal expectation, an unreasonable expectation, but when we're doing these work, to record it, to report on that, does actually demonstrate to our community how much we care about these items, and that we actually have a plan in which to consider and address those. Often people confuse stream health and that with drinking water. I hear that often said, and that's, as we know, they're completely different items, and there's quite a lot of beat up at the moment around water quality in general, which we know our own drinking water that we supply the council is regularly monitored and excellent, where people can be assured that their drinking water is safe and secure because of the work that we do to ensure that. It's a shame I'm having to be out reassuring people of that at the moment, but that is just a reality of just some of the I guess exposure some of these issues do get, and how importantly people do value that. So I think the methodology that you've developed here can easily be applied to others, and I'd like to see that extended where possible. So we are doing that active reporting, the Ahoka, the Silver Stream. There is probably work that we can do in with Environment Canterbury as well, because we don't actually control some of those CCAN's function, but to just make, I know that we are connected in there, but if we are undertaking that work, that we can just make sure that the line is drawn and that we are working with in partnership with ECAN. These are also very important issues to mana whenua, and when we go to the regular meetings with the Rena, these are items that are raised quite regularly. Water quality and stream health are very important to them. So to demonstrate, as we are, that we've got work underway here, and to report on that a little further would be really great. So I appreciate you think about that and how best we can undertake that going forward. But again, thank you for the work that you put together in this space.
No more questions, like to reply? Right, so I'll put that all in favour. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Right, so now we move on to correspondence. We've got no portfolio updates. Councillor Redmond and Rhodey.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you'll know, we're going into winter at the moment, so the focus for staff has been pre-winter maintenance repairs, removal of leaves and things to get us through the winter when wider repairs could be undertaken. It's the time for remetalling on our unsealed roads, and maintenance grading is in full swing. Ice gritting has started, particularly around the Ashley Gorge area, and with more cold weather such as this morning, the ice gritting is expected to increase. And I have driven around that area, and it's amazing how slippery the roads can be when they don't get sun on them with the frost. Capital Works, Councillor Fulton will be interested to know that the Waimakariri Gorge Bridge deck replacement work is progressing. The deck replacement is now complete and the chip seal surfacing has been laid. Guardrail works are continuing on the approaches during the daytime now. And an area that I go through frequently, the Island Evahoka Road intersection, the traffic signals project is progressing well, and the signals are planned to be commissioned on Thursday this week. I'm not sure if there's going to be an official opening there or cutting of a ribbon or something, but there aren't many traffic lights in the Kaipoi. Curb and channel renewal work is continuing in Geddes Street and is now 85% complete. There'll be final sealing with shoulders, and the remaining footpath on the south side will be completed over the next 2 weeks. The installation of the pedestrian refuges is underway. One has been installed on Ivory Street and one on Westbelt. The last island is to be installed on Ivory Street this week. The Palmer Street upgrade work is continuing. Footpath construction underway and the road shoulder reinstatement will follow, with those works expected to be completed early next month. On Ashley Street, the new curb and channel has been installed and the shoulder is being reinstated, and footpath works are to follow. And you will have observed work is continuing on River Road, and you'll see that work occurring if you're down that way. Other works, Doubleday's footbridge remains closed. Repairs to the pier cap have been detailed and the work is currently being programmed. South Belt pavement repairs have been sealed adjacent to the new development, and the road is due to be reopened this week. Work has begun on undergrounding the trunk water main on Townsend Road at the culvert, and I'm sure we're all familiar with that work that we've discussed. There's work coming up to install stormwater and sewer mains through Blanket Street, King Street roundabout, and that's a continuation of the Rangiora sewer upgrade project, and the roundabout will need to be closed to accommodate those works, similar to the King Street High Street roundabout. Some events coming up. The Kaipoi Matariki event is coming up in late June. This weekend, the Rangiora Fire Brigade are holding the 150th anniversary in Percival Street. And on the 2nd of June, Percival Street will be closed between Queen Street and the Rangiora Service Centre car park entry between 8 o'clock in the morning and 4:30. Road safety. Road Safety Week was actually last week, something that slipped under my radar, but I have seen, and you would have seen some messages on social media about that, and the roading team joined up with Becca Cord, NZTA and Break New Zealand and taught children at Ashgrove School about staying safe on the roads, and students got hands-on experience with traffic management equipment. I'm not sure if that's another word for road cones, and learned about roadworks and listened to a road safety story. So the roading team has been quite busy, which you'll see as we head into the winter months. Thank you.
Any questions? I've got one question for myself on River Road. There's a sump on the corner of Ashley Street and River Road it's actually a drainage sump, and it keeps on overflowing now. Do you know if that's going to be attended to at the same time as the curb and channel on River Road? Because I would like to see our nice new curb and channel dug up to repair the soak pit on the corner of Ashley and River Road.
Right, I don't know the answer to that. Perhaps the drainage portfolio holder might.
It's actually a road in drainage.
Right. Are you able to clarify, Jodie?
I'll need to just double check that, but it actually discharges via a pipe, as I understand it, to a soak pit in behind the curb, so it won't affect the curb. Rehabilitating that soak pit. So we'll look at that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you.
Right, that's all from me.
Cool. Thank you.
Questions, Chief?
Question.
Thank you. Thank you. Philip, I noticed that there was an excellent report and good to hear the progress on the waimakariri Gorge. I think the original time frame was from April into May, so we've just got the guardrails to finish that week now. Just conscious this is frost season, this is road accident season. Will the works be completed as far as you're aware by the end of May?
Jodie might confirm that, but the end of May is very close.
Yeah.
I suspect we might be slightly behind schedule, but Joanne can update.
Yeah, we are well behind schedule on that project, but all of the bridge deck has been done and the chip seal has been laid on the bridge deck. So that's the weather dependent bit is all done and waterproofed. There has been there is more work required on the guardrails leading into the two ends of the bridges. There's been some issues with locations of services, which has meant we've had to do some additional work to survey and design where they sit. And that detail has just all been confirmed. So the guardrails will be following. Not that work isn't as weather dependent, but we are conscious we want to get finished there and out because we've been there for a while.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a date in mind, Jodie?
No, but I've got a meeting with Thornton Hogan tonight, so I'll send out an update once I've got that.
Thank you, that would be good.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, so we've got drainage and 3 waters myself. So the water, the UV treatment installation project is progressing relatively well, but it is a behind program and would not be completed until next financial year. The works at the Pegasus water treatment plant will be completed by the end of June, but the works at the other sites of Darnley, Cracky, South Belt, Domain will not be completed until September 2024. Nitrates and water supplies have been a topical issue following the Greenpeace nitrate testing in the district last month. All council water supplies are tested regularly in accordance with the drinking water quality assurance rules and are less than 50% of the MAB for nitrate is set for the by the drinking water standards. So we've got no problems in the area with that, in the nitrates. council staff intend to hold a workshop on nitrates at the next Oxford Ahoka Community Board and Utilities Roading Committee meets to provide more information to elected meeting members on this matter. Wastewater. There are new network environmental performance measures recently introduced by the water regulator that will need to report on July 24. Drainage. It's a real good tick here. Cones Road drain upgrade is progressing well. The driveway culverts are currently being installed and the weir modifications at the upper end are about to commence. This work is on track to be completed by the end of June, and myself have been getting quite a lot of comments from the locals in that area and are very, very happy it's all happening, so that's really good. I'm just wondering whether later on we might be able to have a quick email on report on the Upper Sefton train, just for an information report to all the councils on that one, if prepared to do that, because there has been a bit of concern of the time factor when that's going to be done. That's all for me, thank you. Any questions? No questions? Right, solid waste. Right.
Thank you. Transwaste have just confirmed their charges for disposal and transport of rubbish. Disposal charges at Cape Valley will be rising from 169.49 to 185.15 per tonne, which is slightly lower than they had forecast. Price includes GST and includes the $10 increase in landfill levy. Transport charges will increase by 8%, which is what they indicated. This is lower than the 11.9 CPI increases that have been experienced in the last year. All that means that the gate charges and the fees and charges schedule have been set to the right level. The comms and solid waste teams have signed off on a video calling a day in the life about the challenges and highlights of being a collection truck driver, fronted by Leanne Winter, who is one of the longest serving drivers. Comms are working on the release of snippets from this video to be posted on social media with stories to accompany the snippets. The Oxford Transfer Station Access Road and Gate Improvements project has been completed, which means the exiting vehicles no longer clash with incoming vehicles, improving the flow for customers. The curbside bin auditors have begun looking at organics bin as well as recycling bins, because waste management collection drivers have reported that there seems to be a similar level of unwanted stuff in the organics as there is in the recycling, including soft plastics, bags of rubbish, coffee cups and so on. These are being managed in the same way as contaminated recycling bins. The curbside audits will be paused over June, July. However, the audit staff plan to visit retail properties in Rangara, Kaipua, Woody, Pegasus and Oxford, where it would be hard for the auditors to know which bins belong to specific businesses. They will talk to shop managers and staff about what we take in recycling bins and hand out the new brochures and stickers. So I do have this, Madam Secretary. I don't know if Kitty. Yep. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, do I hear right, you're saying the charges go from 169, Cape Valley to 185? Is that right?
Rising from 169.49 to 185.
Is there any feeling as to whether that increases sort of the pressure and I suppose out there in the market for other landfill developers? You hear a lot about this, that they're potentially, people will take their rubbish elsewhere, or is this a different type of market? You know, will it increase the likelihood that people just dig a hole and put it somewhere? We don't want to.
Well, there's always going to be the risk of people digging a hole, putting it somewhere, because farmers have had
doing I mean on a commercial basis.
For years. But look, who's to know? People will do what people are going to do. At the end of the day, our job is to supply something that is state of the art, and there is a cost involved in that. If people choose to do something that is not state of the art, and you heard Gil speak to us here a couple of weeks ago, they will object to resource consents. on the basis that it should be built to the same standard that was expected of Transwaste and Cape Valley. But if somebody managed to slip something under ECAN's, as much as it would disappoint me, that's the way of it. But no, I don't know that this increase, it's going to be across the board, as you know, everything's going up.
Just clarification, the lion's share of that increase is actually the government charged levy for landfill, so that's going up $10, so about I think a $15 increase roughly. I actually am not certain whether it's 10 plus GST, so, but anyway, either way, that is actually a large portion of that increase, and that's completely beyond that.
So just supplementary to that, does that mean that any other developer, anywhere in any form will have to pay that same charge? They're going to have to incorporate that into
any landfill has to pay that levy, yes.
Yeah, those government fees and charges, yes, but if they think they can provide for less, then well and good to them. But just to confirm, the price includes GST and includes the $10 per tonne landfill.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Right, let's move on to transport. Mayor Dean Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to, recently there was the announcement around regional roads. I heard quite a number of calls saying, well, the William bypass wasn't included in that. I can assure members to immediately get on to that, and was assured that there is another list, and that on the other list that the William bypass is almost at the top. And I understand that that is a priority project for the government. Jeff and I were on a call with James Kagan a day or two later, and James assured us that it's certainly being pushed along at pace, and they're securing remaining land they haven't yet to secure to ensure that that project is got on with. It is disappointing that as the project stands at the moment that there isn't walking and cycling, and I intend on our behalf to lobby strongly for that to be included. Now is the time to do that. When you're building a project like that, it would be a mistake not to have that included as part of it. So that's an advocacy piece that I intend to pick up and might get the local community board to support Anita along that line. When we look at the success of the Northern Corridor, it's the success is that there are walking and cycling opportunities. And I note Councillor Redmond and I are still yet to do our cycle trip down here.
Maybe on you.
Southbrook. I had a discussion with staff last week. Now that we've decided on the what we'll be recommending to ourselves at the end of next month around the projects within our sign-off of the long-term plan, now that we've indicated our preference and have included the Eastern Link within that proposal, I'd really like to get a document that tells the narrative of all the projects that we have that make up that broader picture of addressing not only congestion in Southbrook but congestion in our district that supports obviously addressing the effects of growth. So there is a Southbrook reference group, and I know they're very keen on that as well. So it's my intention that we do get that together in the next coming month. Also, when we have various engagements with members of Parliament and ministers, it would be good to have a document we can give them and say, well, here is, this is what we need. So it's got stories, it's got pictures, it demonstrates clearly what it is that we're looking for. I was talking to Alistair the other day, and an idea he had was a map perhaps indicates those where they are and then some broader narrative in behind. So I just think that's important for that we can explain it clearly. It takes a good 10 minutes to explain all the projects to address that. It'd be good to have that resource not only for ministers but also for our residents, so they can understand clearly what it is that we've got planned in the coming period of time, because those works are very important. Apart from that, we've got regional transport on Thursday, and this time it'll be in Ashburton, so the Real Forum is being held in Ashburton Thursday, Friday, so the Chief Executive and myself will be heading there. They're going to be showing us around their new library service centre at the same time. We can see how far the 20 million went that the taxpayer put into assist them as a shovel-ready project. You know, that's from a broader perspective. Last week I also attended a meeting in Wellington where we were talking about LGNZ Transport Forum, which I'm part of. There are a range of things being discussed there, including traffic management and the minister's intentions around that. And they were also considering emergency funding for roading and other projects when we have events that come along, and there was some proposals around the fare rate. So there was in the room was the Mayor of Gisborne and a number who have recently been through that. So the senior staff from NZTA were listening quite intently to some of the suggestions there. It sounded to me that they have a bit of an open mind about how that might be progressed and other options. So there'll be an opportunity to help shape and progress that as we go forward. It's a challenge for all of us that experience flooding events, and to have a lack of certainty if we do have events that we're not, what the funding we'll get from government, should that we need that support, does need clarifying given their announcement of last week. A suggestion I had was why don't you look at it like an EQC type model, where there's a levy that goes right across the country and goes into a national fund, and then if there is an event, then those there is a fund in which supports it. At the present time, it doesn't appear that that is adequately funded, and it's like deficit funded every time something like that occurs. At least, I'm not saying EQC is the perfect model, but it's one that you can point to that there is some success in terms of putting aside for major events. And these weather events are happening all the time. There's no way that the ratepayers can afford to shoulder that by themselves. So coming up with, it's all well good to say we're against what the government's proposing, but actually need to come up with a proposal of how we could help support to get that fixed. So that's just one idea that seemed to have some, at least initially, some support around that table, and the NZTA officials thought it was something worth exploring, so we'll see where that goes.
Thank you. Question for myself first. We've had lots of discussions on the Eastern Bypass link, which is a good thing. Link Road, then Councillor Ward. We purchased land several years ago for the Western Bypass Road, and it's dropped out of the radar. Is it possible to get a report on, is it still necessary, when it's going to happen, or what's happening? Because we've spent several $1 million on land already on that area, and it just seems to have dropped off the radar now. Just wondering if we can get a quick report on that one day.
But I actually think that's a good suggestion for an update. But Joanne might have something she wishes to add here, but you're right, we have secured the land for the future. I'm not clear where that project's at myself, so I'll wait. Interested to hear what Joanne has to say.
We've secured most of the land. There's a section that we can own land to the northern end, which we've had discussions with them on, and they are comfortable with parting with that, but we're still going through the process. It is within the long-term plan period, that road. The exact years I can't pull out of my head, unfortunately. But yeah, we do have it still within the period of the long-term plan.
Joanne, perhaps a report or a note, an email back to us to just advise where it is and what's planned there, and sort of likely proposed expenditure, because it's still a co-funded model. As I recall, we weren't looking to proceed with that unless we got co-funding with NZTA, as I recall.
I will need to look at that and further detail.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mayor, I noticed that the ECAN long-term planning considerations there was a prioritisation for traffic for public transport, particularly in the Selwyn area. I think it's a continuation of existing projects, new projects. Can we have any understanding, perhaps the next time we meet, as to why there seems to be that strong skew to Selwyn transport projects and their comparable growth and challenges? I'm not sure the nature, specifically what the bus routes are, etc. But
sure, Joey may know, but my recollection is actually Selwyn doesn't have the same level of PT that we already enjoy here. So they have specifically requested that there's a more of a frequency of bus service.
Yeah.
But our level of service here is well above where they currently are in terms of their own service for their district. We've got a lot more here, so that's my understanding. So I don't think we're falling down, by the way, in terms of the investment or going, it seemed to be a lesser standard. It's just ensuring Selwyn gets the level of frequently the buses along their main routes are full and they can't carry the current demand that's there. So I know Mayor Sam and others have been lobbying for that for some time, just to increase the frequency so they can meet the expected demand that they likely will seek.
Just one there, I thought one I'm struggling to understand is the Darfield Christchurch connection, which I understand is very popular and in demand. We've got people standing there, for our people in Oxford wanting public transport. Does it not get to the point where people in Oxford would be better to go to Darfield 15 minutes down the road and connect to Christchurch, which I just can't understand.
I hear the comment around PT for Oxford, and we raise that all the time, but it does come back to, I'll say that there's if you do want that service, there will be they did say that they would look at modelling that to see whether there's what that would likely be. When it's been raised in the past, Councillor Fulton, the level of cost has certainly put people off because the additional rate requirement to cover that area hasn't met perhaps on the subsidy basis. The last service that was there was a fully funded service that Redbus provided. It's not saying we should leave it off. It is on the list of ECAN considering that, because we've raised that in our own submissions.
I'm just going to confirm that what Mayor Gordon has said is correct. The Selwyn direct services are extremely over-subscribed, so in terms of the patronage, to the point where they're leaving people standing on the side of the road because there's just no room in direct buses. So they have been advocating really strongly for additional services coming out of Selwyn. In terms of the Darfield service, I'm not sure what the funding arrangement is with that, and it may be that the council are actually funding a higher portion of that. I'm not sure, but I can ask the question.
I think they are.
Right, thank you. So we'll move on now to 8.1. So it's matters of information. So I presume everybody's read it. Any questions on it? Councillor Redmond?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I realise it's for information. I just wondered in clause 7, other implications and risk management, and 7.1.2, the cost was about 25,000 more than estimated, and it said it's mainly because of traffic management costs. I just wondered what portion of the contract would traffic management costs make up?
I can't tell you exactly what portion it makes up, but it is a reflection of of the cost of traffic management, and in just in the last few years there has been quite a step change in the traffic management requirements and cost. But look, I can't tell you exactly what share of that cost, but it is an increasingly big portion of all construction projects these days.
Why I ask is that there are new pipes being laid in the Loburn area, and the residents there are very complimentary of the minimal traffic management that they're facing. And so I just wondered, it does seem that traffic management costs are becoming, in some cases, a very significant portion of an overall piece of work. That might not have been a question, Mr. Chair.
Right, so got somebody to move that report motion, remove Councillor Redmond, second by Mayor Gordon, so we'll put that all in favour. Aye. Thank you. Right, so we've got questions, understanding orders, we've got none, urgent general business, nothing. Matters to consider with the public excluded, so we'll now